As college football quickly approaches, there is one person, one voice that I'm extremely excited to hear from again.
Hi everybody, I'm Gus Johnson along with my partner Joel Klatt.
Yes, Gus Johnson, he is my favorite announcer in all of sports. And I think that he does so many things well, makes a game feel like a movie.
Fires across the field! Oh, what a catch!
You know, announcers have a really tricky job because they could easily make something worse or something better. And a lot of iconic moments that we as sports fans have in our memory are the announcer's voice calling the game. I feel like announcers can really make a game better or worse. Gus Johnson might be the #1 guy, in my opinion, at making a game better.
Drops back, floats it in the end zone, and it's intercepted! Brisker! Wow!
I get that Gus Johnson might not have his fans out there, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm not just trying to be biased here. I can't find him. Feels like every time I see Gus Johnson's name brought up, everybody just raves about him. And I feel like you don't really see that a lot with announcers. A lot of times people complain about announcers taking away from the game or making a game boring. And Gus Johnson never makes a game boring. That's why I love him as an announcer so much, is because I feel like whenever I watch a game of his, it feels like I'm watching magic happen.
Crawford's gotta hurry! Up! Oh, no!
So obviously Gus Johnson makes moments matter like this. He's hilarious, he's unexpected, and he really makes moments pop. He's never like overriding the broadcast too much. He absolutely lets the game and the fans make their voice be heard rather than overshadowing it himself. But it's his remarks and his comments that are quick, to the point, and make an impact. And that's why I love him so much. But I don't want to necessarily dive into his background too much in this video because there was a really good documentary that Fox Sports actually made about Gus Johnson that only came out a couple months ago, and on the Fox Sports YouTube channel it only has about 2,000 views, and I really think that you guys should check it out after watching this video, obviously. But go check it out because last year Gus Johnson actually went back to school. He didn't call NFL games this past season, which I'll get into. He actually returned to calling NFL games in 2021, but he decided to skip out on doing that during 2022 and go to Harvard for a year. He lived at Harvard's campus, and this documentary dives into his background, his upbringing, and really what his college football season was like last year. So again, check it out after this video. It's really good, and I think it's deserving of way more views than it has. But for this video, I wanted to explain my reason for why I think Gus Johnson is the best announcer in all of sports. Now, the perfect way to start this off is the fact that there was a video that released last year of Gus Johnson on his way back from a game that he had actually just called with a bunch of other people that went to the same game and was listening to his calls out loud on that bus. That right there makes Gus Johnson special. But all jokes aside, Gus Johnson definitely brings something to the table that not every announcer can do. Announcers can be a little bit repetitive when it comes to their calls. Sometimes they can make moments not stick out very well. And a lot of the time, announcers can feel exactly the same from broadcast to broadcast, and you really don't even recognize the voice you're listening to. But the great ones stand out. And he wasn't necessarily always an announcer. If you remember Stuart Scott from ESPN, I'm sure that you guys have, but if you're really not old enough to remember him on SportsCenter, Stuart Scott was awesome because he made things fun, he was unexpected, and I think there is a lot of similarities between him and Gus Johnson that helps keep Stuart's name alive today.
Caught first down! Woo! What a hit! Denzel Ward! You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me!
Creative announcers are the best type of announcers. They bring their specific style to the broadcast rather than fitting into the standard announcer's mold. Now that is obviously easier said than done, and it can take a lot of time to build that, but Gus has obviously built that, and I think that him and Stuart Scott kind of broke the mold and turned it into something that is cool.
Throws! Oh, what an interception! Oh my gosh! DJ Graham! Give me that, Odell!
Announcers really have to connect with the audience and kind of make things fun. A sense of familiarity and brand recognition is super important. I've kept saying that announcers can really make a game boring, but I think a guy like Gus Johnson definitely doesn't do that, and he's really good at balancing the professionalism that it takes to be an announcer, but also having a really good time It's what a lot of the great ones do, like Kevin Harlan. He really does that exceptionally well. Sometimes it feels like Kevin Harlan isn't even a real person. That's how good he is. And other guys like Ian Eagle are great at that as well. But some of the calls and some of the sayings Gus Johnson has are hilarious. They stick out in my mind. And what is really funny about a lot of these plays is they come from very meaningless games. It's not like Gus Johnson's calling the Super Bowl. It's not like he's calling the college football playoff. It's not like he's calling the NBA finals or ever even calling a Final Four. Gus Johnson's calls really have stood out from games that maybe a lot of people wouldn't remember, but it's his call that stands out. Honestly, my favorite call in all of sports history, and I'm being serious, was when Isaiah Thomas hit a step back to win the game for Washington in the Pac-10 tournament.
Thomas, shake, crossover, step back, at the buzzer, safe, and Washington wins it.
Now, it really wasn't that big of a game, and Washington, I don't even think, went on to do anything in the NCAA tournament, but it's Gus Johnson's call that really makes it stand out. And then there's a YouTube comment talking about how people were acting like Gus Johnson was the one to hit the shot. And that is exactly my point. Gus Johnson was so good on that call that it stands out above Isaiah Thomas's shot. Now, I do wish we had more of Gus Johnson. If you don't remember, Gus Johnson used to call March Madness when he worked at CBS.
Freshman up, and they go in front. Rivio, last chance to dance over Unbelievable. Oh, what a game. Unbelievable. What a game.
He used to call the NFL when he worked on CBS.
Fires, Mike Sims, Walker, knocked down. Oh, he caught it. Oh, unbelievable. Touchdown, Jags.
Heck, he even had a little bit of a stint in soccer, which I didn't think was great. He even admits it wasn't great. But right now, Gus Johnson currently calls college football on Fox, and he actually also calls college basketball on Fox as well. He works with the great Bill Raftery. They're amazing together. But it's a lot of the other sports that I miss him covering. He started covering the NFL again in 2021, and then like I said, he took a year off this past season, so maybe he'll come back this year, maybe not. He also has called NBA playoff games in the past 2 years in the first round, and it's great to see him calling these games. But I do think that there is something to an announcer not calling a lot of games that makes it really special when he is. You know, the more of somebody that you see, the more oversaturated, the more you grow numb to their calls. But whenever Gus Johnson is calling something, I literally go out of my way to tune in, especially during the 2021 season when he was calling NFL games again. I went out of my way to watch the games. I mean, he was stuck calling a lot of, just not great teams. He was calling like the Jaguars, he was calling the Cardinals, those type of teams. And they were games that I really didn't have a whole lot of interest in, but I went out of my way just to listen because that's how great Gus Johnson is when he's calling a game. I feel like it's worth everybody's time to listen in. So again, there's so many reasons to love Gus Johnson. Let me know what you guys think about Gus Johnson down below, and if you really love his calls. And personally, really love the guy. I think he's just a fantastic announcer. I wish that he could call literally every single sport. I wish he was calling more games, to be honest with you. Again, he's called a lot, and he doesn't really do as much as he used to. Kind of has just focused in with college football and college basketball during the regular season. But overall, that's why Gus Johnson is my favorite announcer in all of sports. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.